allegiance, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to Board Member Terry Bennett. Mr. Bennett?
Thanks, sir. You're honored to have with us tonight 4 young men that represent the Boy Scouts of America. At least once a week, sometimes more than once a week, these young men stand at attention to raise their right hand and they pledge on their honor to do their best to do their duty to their God and their country, to obey the Scout law and help other people at all times, keep themselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. The Scout law that they reference requires them to remain trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and ready. That is a very good recipe for citizenship in this country. These young men have answered to a higher purpose. They have all been elected by their units for membership in Scouting's National Honor Society, known as the Order of the Arrow. And notice 3 of them are wearing the distinctive white sash with a red arrow. The Order of the Arrow shares many traditions with Native American culture. And they were elected to that position or to that honor because of their dedication to unselfish leadership, cheerful service even in the midst of difficult tasks and weighty responsibilities. So it's an honor to have them with us tonight. 3 of them are Star Scouts, which means the next rank is Eagle. 3 of them are Life Scouts, 1 of them is Star Scout. 3 of them have 1 more step for Eagle, 1 has 2 more ranks for Eagle, and they represent the Mountain District of the Northeast Georgia Council. It's also referred to as the Lockheed Chapter, and their meeting is later tonight, and that's the reason they're able to join us. It's indeed an honor to have them with us. They represent the very best of the best. So with that said, you'll all stand. They're going to lead us in communication and the pledge of allegiance. Individually, we have Stockton Reed, Knox Reed, Parker Scott, and Noel Taylor. I would also add that Parker Scott is serving on staff this coming summer with the National Youth Leadership Training Program. Invitation first.
All right. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make the decisions that might affect the students, staff, faculty, our alumni, and friends of Fannin County Schools. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
If you will please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. May be seated.
Thank you, Scouts. Thank you. Mr. Bennett, thank you.
Next item is reorganization for Mr. Superintendent, if you like, moderator for the organization, please.
So I will all act as chair during this time, and with that, I will accept a motion to open the floor for nominations for chair of the Fannin County Board of Education. Looking for a motion, please.
You have that motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, the floor is now open, and I will accept nominations for the chair of the Fannin County Board of Education. Are there any nominations?
Mr. Superintendent, I'd like to do
Chad.
Yeah.
Nomination of Chad Galloway is noted. Are there any other nominations? With that, I need a motion to close the floor for nominations.
Have that motion.
Need a second? All in favor of closing? Okay, thank you. And we have one nomination. And as a formality, we shall vote Mr. Chad Galloway. All those in favor of Mr. Chad Galloway as chair, show of hands, please. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Chair. And now it's going to go to you, Mr. Chair.
That being said, we need us a vice chair. So this time, the motion that we seek for a vice chair. All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any nominations for the vice chair?
Mr. Chairman, we have one motion to pay Brandon for vice chair position. But that's the need.
Having the week, we have a motion to close that. Second. Anything?
Vote.
Vote. All in favor? I didn't want to vote for Mr. Grant. All those in favor of Mr. Grant?
All right, congratulations, Chair and Vice Chair of the Fannin County Board of Education for 2020. And I'd like to say I really appreciate the leadership of Mr. Lewis and also Mr. Galloway as Vice Chair during the past 2 years. Thank you, sir. Our next item on the agenda is to approve the setting of the time, place, and date of Board of Education meetings. So take a look at the verbiage up on the screen. Essentially, unless the board has a reason to do otherwise, this board has historically met on the second Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. And met here at Fannin County Board of Education and called meetings as needed. So that is my recommendation.
We have a motion to keep the time, place, and date of full meeting at the same time with this schedule is in agreement.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next item is to approve the consent agenda. So if you take a look at the consent agenda, this is in 2 parts. The first, of course, is to A, approve the agenda, and then B, to approve the minutes. The minutes from the December 12th, 2019 meeting were posted. We'll look at those in our call meeting, but then the call meeting itself from January 7th, last Tuesday, 2020, 4:30, are in here as well. Give you a minute to go through those. Mr. Reeves is scrolling through on the screen. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I make recommendation to approve the items in the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we have some special recognitions. So that's it, we go to item number 6. And the first one, National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I love that photograph. That was taken by one of our students with the drone. over at West Fannin the day that we assembled the bus, and a representative from each law enforcement agency representing or enforcing the law in Fannin County. We have the Blue City Police, the Kaysville City Police, the Georgia State Patrol, also a representative from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, along with a representative from the Fannin County Sheriff's Department. And our relationship with the Fannin County Sheriff's Department is special. Go to the next attachment there. Fannin County Sheriff Daniel Kirby has deputized the persons that you see up here in this photograph between Mr. Danner and me. And these deputies of the Fannin County Sheriff's Department serve as our school resource officers. And I must say that I am thankful for these individuals. I'm thankful for the relationship that we have with the sheriff. And at this time, I would like to recognize the sheriff. Sheriff Kirby, are you? He's a good law enforcement officer. He is always in the corner. And the other one is in the corner. They're keeping us safe. And we really do appreciate it. At this time, I'd like to ask Sheriff Kirby, would you come up and join us? And Tracy, would you come up and join us up here at the front as well? Mr. Banner is our district coordinator of the school resource officers as the administrator. And I'd like to get you right here in the center.
You'll take another picture.
Yes, sir. Come on down here if you would. And if the Board of Education, please. Come on down here, gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
We're going to put the board right behind you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good. Good. Anybody?
And what I have in you both, this is a certificate that the Fannin County Board of Education, in appreciation of the work of our school resource officers, led on the school level by Mr. Darren Danner, and led on the law enforcement level by Fannin County Sheriff Dane Kirby. We couldn't do it without them, and we appreciate you. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We really do cherish the relationship that we have with y'all too, so thank you very much.
Yes, sir. It would be an honor to take a photograph.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. All right, in our next recognition, we've got a new principal in the county. Yeah, that's okay to applaud. Ms. Danner, could you come over here and introduce yourself? Yeah.
Hi, in case y'all don't know me, I've been with the school system for 18 years now and am a former student of Fannin County. So, but I'm Allison Danner, and I am absolutely beyond gracious for being named as principal at West Fannin Elementary. I had hard shoes to fill, and my fellow principals are both sitting here. They've left us in a good place so that we're ready to keep rolling. I just want to extend my gratitude to each of you guys for giving me this opportunity. I can't say enough how much I appreciate it. Over the last 18 years that I've been at West, I think it's been phenomenal, the relationships that I've been able to develop with not only our staff, but our teachers, or our students and the parents. And I think those relationships are just going to continue to get stronger. We've also implemented the STEM initiative, thanks to these two individuals again, and our plan is to continue with that vision and further through with receiving our STEAM certification, which we're so anxious about. But I just want to again let you guys know how much I appreciate you for giving me this opportunity because, and I feel like it's crucial that I give back to Fannin County schools because without the education that I received from the Fannin County school system, these opportunities would have never been available. So I think that it's critical that we give back to the students of Fannin County what they once given us. Thank you.
Well said. And before we sit down, I want to bring up actually, Allison technically takes effect Monday. So the interim principal.
My feet are hurting now.
So what's like to be a
19 years at
principal?
the county office at the desk, and now I've been walking all week, so.
And of course, the school governance team is a part of this process, and as the interim principal, you chair that process.
Yes.
So, you're out there with her, and we appreciate you for that as well. I want to take a photograph now, if I can get the interim principal and the principal to come right here. And then also, I'm gonna get the assistant superintendents, and I wonder who will stand next to whom. More of no tears.
It's all good.
And before I sit down, I just wanted to say one more thing, because Tracy, I don't know if y'all had the opportunity to visit West Fannin, but I just have to say, I know our resource officers are phenomenal, but if you have not had the pleasure of watching the interaction that Deputy Summers has with our students at West Fannin, it is absolutely amazing. Yesterday was Ms. Hyde's first day out there, and she said, "What is that noise?" And it was actually Deputy Summers in the cafeteria singing happy birthday to our kids. Happy birthdays. And it literally roars up and down the halls of the school. So I just want to commend you, Tracy, on the job that you do. We appreciate and love you every day.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Okay, Ms. Hyde, still the deputy superintendent, still responsible for the school governance teams. Probably the biggest update you have is West Fannin.
That's right, West Fannin. In the month of December, a lot of them don't meet because there's so much going on, but Blue Ridge met December the 5th, and there was no facility use requests and no field trips or no fundraisers. And so they went over their CCRPI scores with the SGT team, and they also talked about their Title I carryover budget and approved it. East Fannin didn't meet in December. West Fannin met December 9th. We actually had a call meeting and went into executive session to discuss personnel. And that, you can see the results of what we were talking about with personnel. And then they had the regular meeting, December the 17th. There was no facility use request. Their field trip requests were, they've got people that are going down for the grant finals, for the ETC Ignite grant finals. So that they've got to get separate field trip requests for that. They're also going to be selling Lion King headbands here in February to March, and that's submitted by Ben Sexton, because they're putting on a big production, and the whole school's involved, just not the actors on the stage, but every school and every class. This is their big STEAM project. They're working on to integrate the arts, and in the meeting they discussed, they had a public comment, had a parent, and they discussed their recess procedures and what they're going to do there. They went over their school improvement plan, and then they went over some of their progress monitoring data. The middle school had no facility use requests. FFA is always doing something, you know that, so they had a couple of field trips to go to Banks County and Sonoraville, and then Miss White with FFA is going to be selling strawberries, meat sticks, and have a cowboy hat day coming up here in February. And then Ms. Welch went over and talked about the coal policy and different things, our policy for if we're out for snow. And the high school did not have a meeting in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hyde. Next item on the agenda is school athletes, and this month, pleasure of welcoming Principal Keith Buck, Fannin Middle School. Mr. Buck, good evening.
Good evening, sir. It's good to be here in front of this board, in front of you. And I want to share a little bit about the action and the attitude and the life and the excitement of Fannin County Middle School. Middle school students are full of action. They're full of energy. They're full of questions. and we have a ball with them. I'm thankful that I'm there, thankful for all things that we can do to try to influence, grow, and prepare them for what's ahead. The last time I presented in front of you gentlemen was in August, and one of the things that we faced was change. We've embraced the change. We've actually enjoyed parts of the change. Our teachers have become accustomed to it, and so have our students. So I'm going to move quickly and show you not just things that we have changed to, but some of the action that we've had while we've been trying to change. We want to show a little bit about our growth educationally first, though. Our CCRPI results were very positive. We were very pleased with what we've done. We've shown growth. In the fourth column, the category that says closing gaps, in 2018 we had a deficit that we focused on. Our faculty pulled together, they worked together, collaborated, and we identified those students that we needed to identify to a certain degree, made the greatest growth there. But again, I'm proud that we are not just above the state average, but in most of the recent categories, we did exceptionally well. But the middle school, in all of the action, one of the joys of being there at a middle school is identifying what needs to be done in the team concept. Team concept is excessively important. We have to stay together. Professional learning in the team concept can produce some challenges. And so I'm going to show you a few things that we've done in order to prepare for those students that are so active for us. To the far left over there, part of our professional learning has to be with technology. An example of trying to sometimes stay up with the younger generation. Heather Finley has graciously provided us with some tools to learn with that our students, it seems like they learn much easier. Over to the right with the guitar is a gentleman that you're familiar with. You've had him here with you today, and it's always a blessing. We had him there for professional learning for us one day too. It's great. To the far right, an example of a couple of our teachers at the ETC conference, again taken by Ms. Finley. And these are two examples of young, dynamic, energetic, technologically driven, and successful teachers. But our biggest focus at Fannin Middle School is going to be on the STEAM and the STEM. We are making a full-fledged commitment towards certification for STEM. We've attended two conferences, one at West Georgia in Peachtree City, the other in Athens. But one of the things that we enjoyed most was professional learning on Tuesday from the lead, Felicia Cullors, at the Georgia Department of Education. We had her there presenting to our faculty, preparing, getting everything ready, making plans for this spring and what we're going to do summer to take those large steps towards certification. It's going to be a few years. Stories that you've seen, heard, and experienced, especially at West Fannin, it may take a little time, but there will be successes along the way. There used to be an emphasis in teaching. Now, one of the emphasis, we feel like we've done a good job as educators in focusing on how to teach, is how to get students to learn, and how can we incorporate them in learning. No longer can we just sit and lecture. No longer can we just hand out worksheets and expect results. Students today prefer, and so do teachers, they prefer to learn through action. Just some examples of learning in action of our middle school students. Science labs, technology, hands-on experiences outside the school. As we come back, they love the presentation through technology, and they are excessively good at it. We've learned collaboration works, and we also know that traditional learning still works. We just have to supplement traditional learning with other types of action. Continuing on, students, here are some examples of students collaborating in a STEAM or a STEM lesson in the far left. Student creations, the two pictures in the center. Down below, teamwork. To the far right, more teamwork. Students in action learning will produce good results, and they tend to be happier and less discipline issues. And in the middle, again, throwing in a little bit of tradition along the way, something that you might be remember when you were in school, our school spelling bee. We have the district spelling bee coming up here tomorrow, actually. And these are some of our participants in the school spelling bee. Connections classes, and you've heard the statement already tonight, connections classes are very important, not just at high school, but also as we build our students to get to the high school to help them choose careers. Our agricultural program and our FFA program has been highly successful. We're very appreciative of all the things that we've seen. Our students are learning, yes, in the classroom, and especially in competitions, as you see right here. Our TSA club, Technology Club. Our students compete together. In the bottom right, with the palm tree, the picture with the palm tree and the multiple students is an example of our high school and our middle school collaborating, working together. Our students are attending a conference in southeast Georgia. I want to say Jekyll Island. I think that was the place where they went to, and they were successful in their competition. Our middle school students in the other two pictures prove that they can learn. They're out of the traditional school setting, but they have all going down there to that conference to learn, and they're picking up things even at the conference that when they bring back to us in Fannin County, makes us push the button to keep up with others throughout the state. Other connections classes, our arts program, band and chorus are thriving. Mr. Mike Weaver, our band director, Ms. Jessica Holsworth, our chorus leader, have produced some wonderful concerts, and they're going to continue to do so. They have a program built up. We're very proud of the arts programs we have, and we want to continue to contribute to that in the high school and as they grow older. And so our example in the middle, the picture in the middle with the young lady singing, that's just a regular practice session in the school. But to the right, not just our arts programs are successful in performing and teaching and learning, we're trying to get them out in the community. We believe that when we make community contacts, especially through music, that's something special to the soul anyway, then we've made contacts for a life. And we're also teaching our kids how to perform in the future. Our athletic program is thriving. Some examples that you see here far left, our cross-country boys had a tremendously successful year, third in the state of Georgia in the 3A, 4A competition. Our wrestling program has concluded. It's a winter sport. It's concluded. But Coach Padgett was very pleased with the results that he got. Examples of our athletics, we try to build school spirit with pep rallies. Our cheerleaders do a nice job, as seen right there. We're trying to move forward, and this won't go.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulties.
All right. I can go ahead. I will. In the far right, the smaller pictures in the far right up there represent our current basketball teams. The 8th grade boys on the top left, the 8th grade girls top right. 7th grade boys lower, and the 7th grade girls. Tonight we're actually playing Pickens County. The girls are traveling and the boys are here. I have not heard examples of their successes yet. And I'd like to keep talking. I'm good at it, but I'd like to see what I'm talking about.
Just 1 second.
I know. Good. Hey, I've got it right here. I can keep moving that way if you need to. Got it?
All right, hold on.
Okay.
That's my ball.
All right.
We'll take care of our deer problem.
I can embellish that picture if we
There you
need
go.
to. There you go. All right, Red Ribbon Week. Examples of how faculty and students work together in this theme. Red Ribbon Week help students to make the best decision to keep them away from drugs, alcohol, things that harm their bodies, their minds, their choices. And so we do lots of activities through Red Ribbon Week led by Ms. Tammy Summers. Faculty gets involved in it as much as the kids. That's the 6th grade teaching team in the far left, and examples of student activities all throughout the other pictures. Our PBIS is thriving. We are an operational PBIS system. PBIS examples here. Our PBIS team there are those teachers and staff that come together to help us analyze the data, make decisions on the directions to go. We've put out competitions. We encourage kids to make those decisions. We spent money trying to make students see good decisions, not just read or hear good decisions. And in the far right, in the bottom, is an example of our PBIS trips, our incentive-based trips. This is the 6th grade at the bowling alley. 7th grade has gone somewhere, 8th grade's gone somewhere, and our big trips are coming up in the springtime. So students buy into this. Well over 75% of all students in Fannin County Middle School have made opportunity to be a part of these trips. The faculty has joined in. We have taken this idea from schools here to create inside of us opportunities for joining in on PBIS. We've created our own economy. Vanessa Weaver is leading this charge, and again, it's got to be for students and for the staff. We have the blessing to take our students, our entire student body, all 710 of them, to the Vietnam Moving Wall. I'm very pleased with what they did, how they acted, how they accepted and understood respect for those, especially at this particular area. It was a great opportunity for our school, and we had lessons before and after, not just factual lessons, but contact, any kind of lesson that dealt with what the Vietnam Moving Wall is about. Our Veterans Day program is on November 8th. Mr. Dale Dyer in the center was our speaker. He was also in the Christmas edition of one of our newspapers, and he was focused. He turned 100 years old. And let me tell you, he still had the energy of a 35-year-old man. He could talk, and he could go and give examples, and our kids listened, and they learned, and we had a great time with Mr. Dale Dyer. We're excessively proud of this group of students at Fannin County Middle School in the bottom center. These 7 students have attained the Reach Scholarship level, and they will be moving on to high school next year to represent Fannin County. In the top left up there, an example of all, or it's a picture of, all of our students that are Reach Scholars in Fannin County. Mr. Shofi graciously allowed them to attend this meeting, and so there are your Reach Scholars from Fannin County, the first full group, 8 through 12, of Reach Scholars. We try to do parent nights along. Here's one example of parent nights, and we have many examples, but this is one that we found some success with that we didn't expect to. It is literacy based, but it's the turnout and the excitement that we found to be really, really interesting. Our ELA and reading teachers created a theme around book tasting. And so our students and our parents showed up, and we had a great turnout of parents, students that we emphasize reading and choosing and being excited about reading and seeing what reading can do for us aesthetically and intellectually. We hope to do many more like that. I mentioned that we have to keep students moving in action, but you know what? We got to keep our staff moving too. We enjoy at the middle school getting together, fellowship and doing things together. Sometimes we have a hard time finding that time, but we do try to get together. And on the left, we are very serious about our honey in Fannin County. So we had a honey tasting contest between 2 of our staff members. Just an example of how we like to keep things light when we possibly can. And here's our SGT. You recognize the person on the far right. Dr. Watney mentioned we have a close contact with the Sheriff's Department. Here's an example of a close contact. He's on our SGT. We're very proud of him. Miss Holloway, Miss York, Miss Ott are other community members on our SGT. And then you've got Miss Anderson and Miss Hulsey as faculty members on this. We're very proud of our SGT. They're intellectually driven. They're consumed with doing the right for the school, and it's a great example. I wanted to end with this. It's a great example of how our community mixes with our school system. We're proud to be part of this community, and we hope we continue to have the successes and make you guys proud. Thank you.
Well done. Well, that's good time for public comment. So, Mr. Danner, you have anybody?
There's nobody signed up, Dr. Sarkey. Anybody like to speak at public comment?
All right, so the floor is still yours because it's facilities up there. There's no slides in facilities.
No slides. Actually, during our group today, during our session, Mr. Luis and Mr. Bearden, we were trying to actually kill some time, and they said, you know, there's something we haven't seen. I showed them pictures of some things that happened over the summer, and actually last year as well, the wrestling dressing room and the new cheerleading dressing room up at the high school. And again, that was a request by Rich Sophie and the high school staff. She took them down there. So still not 100% complete. Still got some things we got to do there, some lighting, some outlets, and that sort of thing. Ms. Ritter the cheerleading coach, we actually seen her in transition. She went with us and she's just ecstatic, so good. Also facilities, glad to say that the survey is underway at the Tacoma property. The flyover has been completed. The surveyor has been there, got the initial, information. Actually went out and put some more, whatever surveyors do, one more flyover to get the finalized information. And then they'll actually come back to their office and complete the top of it. I said, so how long does that take? They said, once we get everything back together, back in our office, it'll take 2 to 3 weeks. So hopefully, mid-February, hopefully by the end of February, we're gonna have topo map in hand, ready to go. January the 21st, we have a meeting with an architect. It's a first initial meeting, have not signed any contracts, but have been sort of looking around, and we think we found the guy. So again, we won't really broadcast his name until we know that it's official, but again, it comes highly recommended from other school systems, and we've actually met with him once. Very knowledgeable, and I think he's going to do a good job of that. So, getting very exciting and getting very close, and then we're just chomping at the bit. And as we are.
Good job. Next update's also your safety updates.
Safety updates, in August, we completed safety drills at all the schools during pre-planning, and very controlled. Some items there that we've not done that at all schools in a very long time, if we've done that at any time. So we've done that in August, and very successful. The SROs were not available in August, but again, I will say that every SRO, all 5, joined us at all 5 schools during pre-planning, starting the second semester on January the 6th and the 7th. They participated, and we actually had a little fun. And along with having fun, we made our teachers. Teachers are better today than what they was prior to January the 6th and the 7th. They're tremendously better than what they were before August. And then prior to that, I don't know if anybody knew what to do. So again, we've done some drills. Hopefully, we're not completed. We're going to continue doing drills. And we just want to, I don't want to steal the quote. Dr. Watkins said it at all 5 schools. Dr. Watkins, please say your quote one more time.
In this type of training, the body cannot know what the mind is not doing.
So again, we put the teachers under some stressful situations to see how they handle it. So, but again, we're going to continue doing that to help. God forbid anything ever happen in Fannin County, but we want to say that we've done everything we possibly could to train our staff. Along with that, a lot of recommendations from GMA, from FEMA, from everywhere is how to report problems. The district chose the Safe Schools Alert. This is one of the very close flyers that you see. Hopefully you've seen some at school today and not really paid that much attention to it. But the ones at the school actually have a code to go on. You can download an app. You can do it online. Just an alert. Mr. Shofie spoke about it during his presentation. The best information that we can get is going to be from the kids. They're on the front line, so to speak. They see what's happening. They know what's going on. So we want them to report things. We want teachers. We want parents. We want everybody to report things if they see something or hear something. And if they hear something, we want them to say something. If they don't want to say something in public, we want them to do it anonymously. So again, that's what the district has used this for going on 2 years now. We've had some things that have been put to rest very quickly because of this. So again, we hope to continue. So again, we want to make sure that everybody knows we do have it. You can access it on our website. Well, can you go to the county website? Put it on the spot there. And this is the county website. If you scroll down, just straight down, Robert, to the bottom left, Safe Schools Alert. There it is. Go ahead and click it, Robert. So if you're at home tonight, you see something, hear something, and you want to report something, you go to the website, you click the little link there, we'll maximize it so everybody can see it there, Robert. And then if you want to do it from a computer, you just click the little web button there. Web button, there you go, there you go. Click that. Go ahead and click it there, Mr. Yeah, go ahead, click it. All right, now, as soon as you click it, boom, you're ready to start to put in an alert of some sort. You know, you've seen something online, you're doing Facebook tonight, you want to let us know about it, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, send it. It's going to send certain people emails, and then actually a lot of people emails. And then we can, whoever has access to this can open it up, read it, and whatnot. So that's how you do it using a computer. You can also do it from your phone. So when you click that link, it tells you how to download the app. All right, just click that Safe School. There you go, right there. Just click that, Robert. And then all you've got to do is go to the App Store, and that's what it looks like on your phone, on your iPhone. Same thing that looks like on the computer. But again, this is where probably 98% of our student tips come from the app. The kids can do this with their eyes closed, behind their back, and everything else. So this is what kids can do. So again, the county does have that in place now.
So you have a good interest of the students in doing that.
Oh, absolutely. We want our kids to report. And, the high school, I know the high school alone, has received some tips. Students have made some bad choices. And that comes directly from the tip, from the hotline. And, some of them are very accurate, some of them are not real accurate. So, but again, it's always, you can't be too careful. Yes, sir.
This method allows us to report anonymously.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great feature.
Absolutely. Along with that, we've had some professional learning for our bus drivers. And I don't want to steal Mr. Foster's on that, but I'm gonna let Denver talk about what the bus drivers have done there over the break.
Thank you, Darren. Good evening. Over the break, we were able to get most of all of our drivers, I think we missed 2 due to some medical issues, come in and get some professional learning now. This is something that has never been done before outside of our state meeting that we required to have during the summertime, safety renewal meeting. So we were lucky to have Robert Graham with EMA join us, and his staff, Ryan McDarris, and some others to offer some training with Stop the Bleed, which is a very interesting presentation and very beneficial. A lot has changed since I took first aid and how to manage traumatic injuries, and so everyone that participated in that training is now certified to have one of the Georgia Stop the Bleed kits on a school bus. It's got a tourniquet, gauze, some gloves, some shears, other things in it in case of obviously an accident or we need to take action. Those drivers have been trained to do so. And it's a very, very positive thing for us, because now all school buses are required to have a first aid kit on it. And it's a very minimal first aid kit with Band-Aids and such as that, but this takes it a step above. And I don't recall the exact numbers, but Mr. McDarris was saying that how many lives have been saved by using these tourniquets and stopping the bleed before EMS personnel ever gets there. So, which was a really good thing. We also had, the governor's office has an initiative with, about human trafficking. And this is very real. Everybody, that uses the internet and sees Facebook, you see on there suspicious people walking around, areas, and you hear about this nationwide. It's really become an epidemic. People are actually kidnapped and sold as human slaves into different trades. They're taken to foreign countries, And, it's really a terrible thing, and the targets are usually young adults, is their target age, or younger children. And, so the governor's office has, teamed up with another entity, and they have come up with, it's called busing on the lookout. And, so we provided that training to our drivers. I'm not gonna play the 30-minute version that they got to see, but there's a trailer here from that I wanted to play tonight, and let you see, kind of what they experienced in that training. That new computer again. That's right. Get old faithful out now.
Find my trafficker at, where my life was pretty much turned upside down.
Okay? They're always gonna tell us a story to get what they want, and what they want are these kids.
When we talk about slavery, people think that ended with the Civil War. That is simply not true.
Human trafficking happens.
Sort of thing that we would turn a blind eye to, can't afford to anymore.
Could be a man, a woman, a boy, or vulnerable girls that were down on their luck and really were lost, just like I was. And so he would come here to find them. That it was a perfect place.
There's a particular employee that works for a very large bus company who routinely calls me about teenage girls that appear to be in distress. And it just became someone that she could call on whenever she saw something.
Most people want to help, but not everybody is in a critical position to make an impact. But you guys are.
And on the public to alert us to this.
Safety.
I needed somebody who had compassion and made me feel cared for.
Where is this kid going, and is this kid safe?
A bus driver took a second look and made a huge difference.
What an impact a small group can have when they understand the issue and when they care enough to get involved.
As school district employees, we are all required to be mandated reporters. When we see something, we're required to report it. If we suspect abuse or something that's not quite right, we're required to report it. This just takes it another notch into above that. And it stresses to the drivers that if there's questions, make the call. That's the thing to do. It may be nothing, but then again, it may not. So, this presentation, that was the main focus, is to educate the drivers to help them understand what to look for and to make the call, because one call can save a child's life. And like I said, it was a very moving. It's a very moving video. The entire video. We actually had several drivers tear up with the presentation. And anybody that monitors Facebook or Twitter or any of the social media sites, you will see that it's a very common thing. People go missing. You will see posts on there, hey, my daughter has run away. Well, they're very vulnerable when that happens. And these people take advantage of those situations. So we need to do everything within our power to protect our kids. And this is just another tool in our arsenal to do so for our drivers. I had, absolutely 100% positive feedback from all the drivers after they watched it. Actually, several of them approached and says, maybe we should show this video to high school students so they understand the risk of what can happen. I don't know that it really is geared toward that, but it is, it's very real. And again, we're doing everything within our power at transportation to keep our kids safe. So it was a very productive day for us. And I appreciate the opportunity to have that training because it really helps, I think.
Appreciate you making that.
Any questions?
I'm impressed that Fannin County would be dealing with subject like this, but I appreciate y'all that you care. And if you follow through, just listen, because we are country.
One of the things that I told my drivers, and this is a real realization, it was for me, is any weekend, or now it's about every weekday. The other day I was on Highway 5 and turned out of the Home Depot parking lot, and the traffic was backed up to the Dairy Queen traffic light to turn left to go to Blairsville at the McDonald's. Thousands of people come here, and along with those people, they bring this sort of activity. And so we're we all like to think of ourselves as a small town community, but we have a lot of visitors. And that, to me, is when this type of activity, would be heightened and could be possible. So I applaud everybody that's allowed us to pursue this, and of course the governor's office. When he signed the bill into law back in April of 19, and he actually had school buses in front of the Capitol lined up with the amount of people that would haul the amount of people that were trafficked out of Georgia. It's phenomenal. I don't know how many buses it was, but it was a city block full of school buses. So it's very real. And like I said, anything to protect our children, we're going to do it.
Certainly appreciate your dedication. Again, those are instances that we hope we never have to this. Being prepared, even on the first aid, what you mentioned. We'll be able to share this with you. We were traveling in last night from Atlanta, and shortly after 9 o'clock, we were between LJ and Blue Ridge, and a large SUV type vehicle passed us at the highest rate of speed I've ever seen a vehicle traveling outside of a racetrack, followed by 12 law enforcement vehicles. It was a high-speed chase, and we were running the speed limit 65, and when they passed our vehicle, the shockwave felt like we're standing on the side of the road when a tractor trailer goes by. And my group was with me. Our thoughts was, oh my Lord, I hope we're going to have a sports team out on the school bus. Because this vehicle, and after we got home, I called my friend who's the chief of police over at LJ, just to check on him and see if he was all right. We had no idea what had happened. And he said that vehicle blew through LJ on 4-lane clock at 105 miles per hour. We can't control this kind of area. We simply have to be prepared. So thank you for your dedication and your staff. Training those first aid skills, because we simply have to be prepared for it.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Item 12 is the district financial report as well.
Good evening, board. Tonight I present our financial report for November the 30th, 2019 for our general fund. We're at 41.66% of our fiscal year. Our local revenues are at 31.45% versus 24% last year. Our total revenues are at 35.99% versus 32% last year. And our total expenditures are at 39.07% versus 40% last year. And our numbers are in accordance with the vision.
Mr. Chairman, you have that motion.
Second. There.
You discuss. All in favor?
Ms. Quinn? Sloss?
And our SPOS sets a new record. We collected $574,371.36. For the month of November that we received in December. So that is a new record. We are very blessed.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Item 14, central office update. It's like a sequel from Tuesday. We have a policy 1. You know, is this policy 2 or does it have a new name?
Policy 2.3, maybe you count all the takes I did to get this video.
And we just for logistical purposes made it be a review video that was shown Tuesday during the meeting to table policies and kind of explain what was going on. And of course, it's archived in Tuesday's meeting for those folks that wish to watch videos, get some popcorn.
It's a good time.
Yeah. All right, so we've got another video that you prepared for us, and so this goes along with the packet. You should hold on to this. So board members, there's an attachment or a packet that's in item 14. That's FCSS board proposed new policies. You can open that packet and it will follow along with what Ms. Welch says. Yeah, you paused it. Is that better? So the board would like to scroll through the packets. The iPads have been updated, so we'll make it all the way through. With those, or you're welcome to watch from the screen, either one. We can get any questions or anything else to add to that. This is policies being considered for addition that are new, and policies that are existing policies that are available to be abolished according to GSBA, Department of Drugs.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2 categories. The first 4 policies are proposed new additions, and then the remainder of those policies are ones identified that we could rescind. We're about to enter probably the most painful 16 minutes and 45 seconds of my life. Having to watch myself on screen. It's a little awkward. It's getting worse.
Maybe it'll clear out enough to do something.
Go ahead and start with this.
Hello there, members of the Fannin County Board of Education, faculty and staff, and community stakeholders. My name is Sarah Welch, and I'm the Director of Instructional Services and Policy for Fannin County Schools. I'm here with you tonight to share a number of policies related to our recent comprehensive policy manual review. Over the past several months, we have worked closely with Ms. Marvin Brooks for the Georgia School Board Association. I proposed a number of revisions to existing board policy this past Tuesday, January 7th, at the called meeting. Tonight, I present some different policy options for you. These policy options are focused on potential new policies to adopt or existing board policies that you may wish to consider abolishing. And so those policies are broken down for you in, again, just a memo that will break them into the certain sections. As a result of this review, 4 new policies for adoption are proposed, and a number of existing board policies are considered possible to rescind. So I will outline those in the following documents. The first policy to review is policy BCBD, board meeting agendas. I will first cover all 4 policies that are presented to be new policies. Anytime you see red writing, that indicates that, again, this is a new policy that has not been here before, and there are no strike-throughs in the majority of these drafts. So BCBD, board meeting agendas, and this policy is proposed because it is required by local board governance standards. and it reads, "The superintendent shall prepare and consultate the board chair an agenda for each meeting of the board and post the same at some time during the 2-week period immediately prior to any regular or called board meeting. The public may provide information, ideas, or input on agenda items following district regulations. The superintendent shall have the discretion of approving publicly submitted items for the agenda. Additions or deletions to the agenda shall be by majority vote, a quorum being present. The board may choose by majority vote to add to its agenda during any meeting an item not reasonably anticipated if necessary for board consideration or action." This is currently the practice in place in Fannin County, but it is simply making it official through this policy. The next proposed policy is policy GAZ, Professional Learning Opportunities, and it reads as follows. The Fannin County Board of Education is committed to the establishment and implementation of a comprehensive improvement plan designed to improve educator effectiveness and result in increased student achievement. A component of the comprehensive improvement plan shall be a professional learning plan detailing the professional learning process that is needed to support the major components of the improvement plan. The professional learning plan shall organize and direct all professional learning that enhances knowledge, skills, and practices of district personnel regardless of the funding source. The superintendent shall designate a professional learning coordinator, facilitate the development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the district's professional learning. The plan for professional learning should be based on multiple data sources, including but not limited to student achievement and teacher-leader effectiveness measures. The plan and its implementation shall be aligned to rigorous standards for professional learning and shall be consistent with all requirements of the State Board of Education. Each school principal shall designate a professional learning leader to facilitate the school's professional learning designed to support and be an integral part of the school improvement plan. School principals and district leaders shall be responsible for engaging teachers and other district personnel in ongoing professional learning as part of the district's comprehensive improvement plan. Professional learning funds may be expended for the reasons specified in the State Board of Education Rule 160-3-3-.04. Stipends may be awarded only if conditions exist as specified in the SBOE rules. Personnel who successfully complete conferences, workshops, or courses approved by the professional learning coordinator may be reimbursed for expenditures by submitting such requests in accordance with district procedures established by the superintendent or designee. The district's multi-year comprehensive improvement plan, budget, and annual report shall be submitted to the Georgia Department of Education at a time and in a manner identified by the department. The superintendent or designee is authorized to establish such administrative procedures or regulations as may be needed to implement this policy. This policy draft actually outlines our current practices in the district and helps us communicate those expectations as well as priority to our stakeholders. Fannin County has been great about supporting our teachers, and that was one of the main reasons we were awarded the L4GA grant to the state of Georgia, because we believe our greatest change, our greatest impact will be made through our teachers and through that commitment to them, not necessarily that closet full of different items you would pull out. The other thing I would like to mention about this policy is that in the original version and in Assembly, it does use apostrophes to show its possessives, but whenever the PDF was created, for some reason, it chose to leave those out. But the actual policy is grammatically correct. Policy IBB, charter schools. A representative from an existing school within the school district, a private individual, a private organization, or a state or local public entity may submit to the Fannin County Board of Education, LBOE, a written proposal petition to establish a charter school in accordance with the requirements set forth in the State Board of Education, SBOE, Rule 160-4-9-.05 and its accompanying guidelines. Home study programs or schools, sectarian schools, religious schools, private for-profit schools, existing private schools, or private educational institutions not established, operated, or governed by the state of Georgia are prohibited by law from submitting charter petitions. A charter petitioner shall contact the superintendent or designee for a complete copy of information regarding the submission of charter petitions for approval in accordance with the timelines established in the part below. And the chart does just simply establish a timeline for the different stages of that application process. So starting with the idea of whether it's a startup, a conversion, or a renewal, and then it breaks each one down. Pursuant to OCGA 20-2-2064B, the LBOE shall by a majority vote approve or deny a petition no later than 90 days after its submission unless the petitioner consents to extend that period. If the LBOE denies a charter petition, it shall within 60 days provide to the charter petitioner and the SBOE a written explanation setting forth its reasons for denial and a list of deficiencies in the petition. If the reason for denial includes that approval is not in the public interest, such explanation shall include a detailed explanation as to why. A denial does not prevent a petitioner from resubmitting a revised petition that addresses the deficiencies cited in the denial. If the LBOE approves a charter petition, it shall within 30 days provide a copy of the petition it approved to the SDOE for review by the SBOE. The superintendent is authorized to develop and enforce administrative regulations needed to ensure compliance with state law and SDOE requirements. Such regulations shall provide for an expedited review process, high-quality charter school renewal, expansion, and replication. And this policy was provided simply because, again, our system has moved to a charter system, and in typically systems that have gone charter, they have included this, again, policy based on the law that concerns it. Policy JBCCA2, Unsafe School Choice Option. This new policy is required by State Board Rule 160-4-8-.16. I'll read it as here on the page. It shall be the policy of the Fannin County Board of Education School District shall comply with 8-.16 Unsafe School Choice Option US. The superintendent and appropriate staff are authorized that 1. Facilitates the transfer of the student within 10 school days of the school district termination by official action of the student has been the victim of a violent criminal offense if the student wishes to transfer to another school. To the extent possible, victims of violent criminal offenses shall be allowed to transfer to a school that is in compliance with current state and/or federal accountability requirements. 2. Notifies the parent guardian of students enrolled in a school that is identified as a persistently dangerous school within 10 school days of such notification to the school district by the Georgia Department of Education, GDO. The parental notification shall explain the process for request transfer to a safe public school, including a charter school, either within the school district or to one in another school district with which the school district has an agreement. 3. Provides for the development and submission to the GDO of a corrective action plan for each school identified as a persistently dangerous school within 20 school days after notification to the school district by the GDO that a school has been so identified. None of the schools in Fannin County have been identified as persistently dangerous, but this is a required policy by the state. After this point, there are no more new policies to present. However, a number of existing policies were identified as being potentially able to abolish. They may be out of date, or the laws may change, or other policies might actually address the necessary or mandatory parts of those. So I will quickly go over each of those policies as well as the rationale from Ms. Brooks about why it was no longer necessary. So the first one is policy BDG, Administration and Policy Absence. And this policy was deemed unnecessary because what is listed in the policy is already inherent in the power of a superintendent. So the policy could be deemed unnecessary. The next policy is policy CMA, Administrative Rules. The content of this policy is actually addressed by policy BH, the Board Code of Ethics. So again, Ms. Brooks felt that this one would not be necessary to continue including in our policy manual. Policy DCC, Budget Preparation Procedures. This policy is determined both by state law as well as the SDOE, Financial Accounting Handbook. As a result of those, which actually the legislation trumps the policy, as a result of it already being detailed in those places, it was deemed unnecessary for us to maintain. Policy DIA is again determined by state law. This is dealing with our accounting system. And Ms. Marlene Brooks said that we did not need to have this as a policy. But again, all of these policies that I list before you and I show you are at the discretion of the board. Policy IHF5 and policy IHF6, these next two policies are both actually outdated because of the revision that was proposed to the main policy IHF on Tuesday. And so I'll go over why. Policy IHF5, graduation requirements entering fall 2002 to 2003 through 2007 to 2008. We actually have graduated all of the students who this policy applied to. So as a result, this policy is it's outdated, the students have graduated, and the recommendation was simply to rescind it and move it to electronic history. IHF6, which is graduation requirements entering fall 2008 to 2009 and thereafter, is again actually a little bit outdated because as students come in different cohorts, depending on that group they enter ninth grade, if we kept this policy, we would actually need to add another policy as well to cover a different cohort of students, which is why we have proposed simply the revisions to the main policy IHF so that it will provide flexibility for future graduating classes, and we will always remain in compliance. And that policy was presented on Tuesday. Policy JBCD is another instance transfer and withdrawal that is determined by state board rule. And as a result, we no longer need to keep it in our policy because the version we have in here is again outdated. Policy JCDAC, the portion of this policy that is the mandatory was actually presented on Tuesday as a revised coding of the existing policy. And that was simply the section regarding the drug testing. So that part of the policy was moved to JCABB, and the recommendation for the remainder of this policy is simply to include it in the Code of Conduct. The next policy, JCDAF, is again an outdated policy. It is no longer required by the state, whereas it was at one point. The recommendation is simply to address it in the Code of Conduct because electronic devices are everywhere now, especially in our classrooms. Policy JKB, solicitations by students. This is a policy that really should be abolished due to our becoming a charter system. When we became a charter system, our school governance teams, SGTs, started to make decisions regarding fundraiser requests. So this policy is no longer accurate as it's handled at the school level in accordance with our charter contract. The last policy is policy LEBA, parental involvement in education. And about this policy, Ms. Brooks simply said that our Title I plan that we submit to the state electronically addresses our parental involvement plan. So this policy would just not be necessary to remain in our policy manual because that information is submitted elsewhere. And so that is the full list of policies that I put before you this evening for your consideration. The other thing I wanted to show is that on the Fannin County website, you can find where this information is. On the Fannin County website, at the top, there's a tab for school board, and then there's a place that says board policy. And when you click on that, it will actually bring you to this page that has a link to our assembly site, but also this, which lists the 2020 policy review and update. The first two items you see here are what was proposed on Tuesday. This is the video that covers those proposed revisions, as well as the attachment document that outlines them. And so it's done very much in the same format. Following the board meeting on the night of Thursday, January 9th, I will also submit to be posted this very video as well as the attachment that you just saw. And so you can find these here or on our assembly site for any scrutiny. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you have a lovely night.
I have a comment. pronounce Sarah sound mind, and able to focus on task, unhindered with patience and prayer.
I'll take it. Answer anything else you have. The video that we showed you tonight, that's sort of just for ease for people at home so they can go back and they can watch it. They will have everything that we discussed tonight. So they can see all those policies. In addition, whenever we post this next set, people will be able to, again, on that main school site, link to the private assembly site, and I'll have a username and login so they can go in and give us feedback. So we welcome all your feedback. Again, everything that was presented on Tuesday and was presented tonight will be, we will be taking feedback on those for until the next board meeting. And then, as always, everything is at the discretion of the board, what you would like to do. And this has been my pleasure to facilitate and to look at the grammar and try to make sure that was all good. So, questions, comments, policy time. Also, here, you can watch yourself on video for that one.
Great job, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for your presentation. I assure you that your version was far more enthusiastic than my version when I sat down and read through it at home by myself. So thank you for your enthusiasm. That was a pleasure for you and wonderful. My young minute here earlier would refer to that as some task and weighty responsibility. But thank you for your dedication. Quite a task.
I don't think it could have been made any more straightforward or easy to understand, or entertaining or grammatically correct.
Could have been more entertaining. I had to hold myself back from, like costume changes and such.
Thank you for your enthusiasm.
Well, no action has to be taken on this at this time, with the exception of just putting on setting the next month. Each one of the other policies is already on the table. So, Mr. Chair, it's my recommendation to take the policies and put them on the table as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve the construction equipment as such. Sure.
Fannin County High School has a booster year that needs to, its life has completely ended. Maintenance did the best they could, but it is ready to be established and they're able to purchase and replace it. We're just waiting on the approval from this person.
Okay. Karen,
I just want to say it should last as long as we have it since forever.
We did, because
I'm only joking. Some of those things, I don't see as much as they use them, how they last as long as they do.
Mr. Brandon, next 2 years.
Yes, sir. On Monday, you received an email about self-assessment. This is part of our becoming an exemplary board, and a couple of you already got that completed, which is fantastic. If you guys could have that completed by the 24th of this month, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow, that'll give us time to be able to compile the data so that we can present that to you at our next month's meeting. And then in February, we will also be developing our external review, which is where we have 2 community members and 2 board members, and myself, and generally Dr. Gwatney and Ms. Hyde, as we look at it from the community side as well. Generally, our chair is a part of that team, and then we would need one more person to serve on that committee. So if you want to volunteer for that, just be thinking about that coming for February. And but again, if you have any questions about the technology side of everything, or if you have any troubles, getting in or logging in or taking a self-assessment, just let me or Scotty or Heather or any of us know. We'll make sure that you get that taken care of. And then the next one's mine too. Local board training. For those of you who do not know, we have been going since 10:45 this morning. These guys up here have been on a road race. We started this morning here at the Board of Education, went up to the high school, had a wonderful lunch, Miss Sisson. We had Hawaiian chicken salads to barbecue to, I saw hot dogs, hamburgers, I saw, there was a lot of stuff up there, and it was delicious. And then Mr. Shofi had us up into 3 groups. We toured the high school with his help and his staff of Amy Williams and Heather Collis and Mr. Shofi. Did a fantastic job, spent about an hour up there today. Transitioned to West Fannin Elementary, where Miss Danner, we flew around, really not even in the job yet, effective, but we went out there and visited, saw kids working and measuring their apple orchard out in the back. I mean, they had STEM going on. It was just a fantastic visit out there. Kids engaged. Our little tour guides were phenomenal, and just neat to watch them. And then transitioned from there to Blue Ridge Elementary, and Blue Ridge had talked about their grant that they just got about their keyboards. They just got 9 keyboards, and also talked about another grant that they've got with their pedometers and using that for research up the Appalachian Trail, and then went into classrooms, and then they had the joy of, and I asked in advance if we could watch their dismissal procedures happen. And if you have never seen a parent pickup / bus, dismissal at an elementary school, you're missing out. Because it is a well-oiled machine. You have to have multiple people in key places. You've got someone up in the corner who's identifying the people as they come through. You've got somebody down at the stations who's saying, all right, go to station 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then everybody's getting loaded, and by 3:17, I look, they're clean, and they start at 2:45. And that's getting a lot of kids out. And that happens every day at all of our schools, not just Blue Ridge. It happens at the high school, it happens at the middle school, it happens at all of our elementary schools. And that is a scary time of day because there's so many people moving. That I'm sure that put a lot of stress on Blue Ridge today to let us, because we're standing down on the sidewalk just kind of watching, but they did a phenomenal job with that. And then we traveled over to the courthouse, where we got to witness our mock trial team actually present a case. And I'd never seen it before, and I was so impressed with our kids and how they were doing. And then we transitioned back to the high school and went and saw esports with Mr. Mathis, and saw our kids over there competing on the Computer Street esports. I have had a wonderful day. I think it's been a great day. I thank you, gentlemen, for giving up. I know you guys, a lot of you had to take off work today and things, but we have completed our 12 hours of training at this point. And what is so special about our board is they actually would be okay with having a little more, because they had asked me some things about some legal things that maybe we can get in. And that's not even a part of being an exemplary board. That would be more than being an exemplary board. So that is how important our board feels about professional learning on their own state. And we appreciate you and what you have done. I hope you enjoyed today, and as much as I did. I checked, we did walk at least 2.5 miles, if not more. So, but thank you again for your service today, because it was a great day.
Well said. Thank you. 18%, Mr. Chair, I prefer you. Okay, get you a look at the personnel sheet dated January 9th, 2020, recommendations. These are, of course, pending completion of paperwork and background check. Jojo Pack and Kelly Winslow as paraprofessionals, both with the effective date of 1/10/20. Make that recommendation. Sure. Amen. Second.
All in favor?
Recommendation of Deborah Candelas as interim assistant principal, interim administrator, effective date January 13th, 2020 through May 28th, 2020. Make that recommendation.
So moved.
Move second that motion. All in favor?
Make the recommendation of Tanya Birchfield as substitute teacher and pending completion of paperwork and background check.
All in favor?
Thank you. Next item is my comments, and just like to begin by congratulating Mr. Deweese for chairmanship of this board over the past 2 years. Thank you, sir. Congratulate Mr. Galloway, Mr. Bramlett, chair and vice chair of the Board of Education. Going back to before we got out for the holiday, White Christmas programs at the PAC, the elementary schools that you put on, they were awesome. And there was a tremendous amount of coordination with FCHS hosting and the transportation, working with Mr. Modes, and then all the schools just coordinating everything and getting up there. You see so many folks, so many parents and grandparents, and thankful that we can have those, and thankful for your work to make it happen. Thank you. Allison, congratulations. Very much. Congratulations. I'd also like to congratulate the West Fannin School Governance team. I think they did a great job in the process. Led, of course, by interim principal Betsy and I, and Betsy, you've done a great job as interim principal. You're gonna be out there a few days longer. I think, as everybody saw in personnel, I have dollars every time I've been asked, that's going to happen with the assistant principal, and you can start to see that. We got a new one that'll be in place. It worked out well. Presentations, Keith, Darren, Denver, great job. Sarah, policy revision, incredible, well done. To all the district, Monday and Tuesday this week, the professional learning, all the incredible professional learning that was occurring throughout the district. Mr. Banner, commend you for the drills. There you go. There you go. Sure. Commend you for the drills. Robert, outstanding job today with the retreat, and Brian Buffington, also Justin Old for running them out.
And we had Parker Berry.
The visits, as Mr. Hensley, described, they were fantastic. The mock trial, we have Amanda and Hannah here as coaches with that. Also, Allison Sosa, the another coach, that's involved in that. Esports, Coach Mathis, great job. And so many opportunities that are for our kids these days. It's incredible. I enjoyed seeing the new pianos. More than that, I enjoyed hearing the Beatles' "Let It Be" by Mr. Bramlett. With that, on the extracurricular note, the band committee will appreciate this. Just want to remember Homer Johnson. Passed away earlier today. Been such a part of the band for some years. Again, it's Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Thank you, Tracy. We appreciate you very much. Finally, it's time for resolutions, y'all. It's the beginning of the year, and remind us to remember why we're so blessed and Fannin. The main reason is just look down this room. All the fine people, fine, strong leaders. It's exceptional board. We're blessed, and I'm thankful. That's all I have.
First, I'd like to say that if I ever never needed assurance about our system, but after today, I can go home for the rest of the morning and happy heart and feel like if I'm going to just continue to get it hard for our kids to be blessed the way they think they are, then I'll be thankful. I think I saw a crown today. The kids look secure and safe, and one young man surely will be president. And that's a long leader. He's well through one of them. So my comment is thank y'all for who you are, what you do. You're in the kid business, and boy, y'all do it well. And our kids are the ones who get together to. So thank you.
What a team. What a day. I won't reiterate all of Dr. Dalton's remarks and get a lot of the highlights. We'd be here a long time if I tried, because every single one of you in this room, you're remarkable. And so thank you for your dedication, your hard work. And for me, I realize our students are still a work in progress, but the fruition of your work and your talents and your dedication within those children we got to observe today, their behavior was a model. They were so courteous, they were organized, they were orderly, and this was just the second day back. And to see classes already thoroughly engaged, not just getting ready to get started, thoroughly engaged in their projects and their course of study, moving forward, so impressive. So thank you all. Thank you all. And again, I'd like to thank Mr. Dewey for his leadership over the past few years. It's been exceptional.
Really fun anymore. We don't have to tell you too, because these men will take care of you. Right. Enjoy yourself.
I want to say ditto to most everything that Mr. Watson and my two board members said. I'd like to take this time to thank everybody who made time to come out. Mrs. Banner, everybody sitting at this table looks you the best. And I think you know that by now. But anyhow, the Boy Scouts, great organization. And I haven't done it before, but I'd like to do it at this time. I'd like to thank Mr. Bramlett for all that he's done for the young men in the Boy Scouts. I know he's worked relentlessly, if that's the word. Going here and going there, and you can tell it by tonight. You know, the enthusiasm that he showed about these young men. And those are people you can be proud of. Be proud of. Mr. Knuckles, great presentation. Doing a great job at the middle school. Mr. Faulkner, great presentation. And I'd like to thank you for these 2 days back. Everything's running smooth. So I'm sure that you've taken real good care of the bus situation. I'd like to thank all the principals and assistant principals that are here tonight. Ms. Hyde, you're just a jewel to have. That's all I can say. You do a great job at anything that you go at, so you do a great job. Sarah Welch, you're another prize too. Yeah. And Eastport, when we were in there this evening, there was 3 guys playing. And I'm talking about they were playing. And Mr. Matthews said they're playing somebody in South Georgia. Now, just sitting there and playing on computers is one thing, but you're playing a team in South Georgia. Is that technology? It is, ain't it? It is. That's technology. Anyhow, thank everybody for being here. And I'll set up and let Mr. Cole go.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to be on 3 of these, just being the new guy. And, when you think, you know, the first trip was in awe of what they were doing, but to continually be back in there watching the competitiveness and the technology that's available that causes creative juices to flow and see the competition going on and learning, you know, being able to learn that. And, that's pretty awesome. Again, Miss Banner, and to see the creative juices flowing in you. You know, just talking to you, you can see it. It's exciting. I'm excited. Mr. Roof, as well as his creative juices, and CTAE, and you know, through this day, I've already been in contact for some time now, talking to different people about scholarships for the CTEA, but during the conversation today, I found out there's already another group that's trying to get scholarships for CTAE. So that's exciting that the community wants to be involved. You know, they want to get involved and you know, give every student an opportunity to get in and be involved. That's exciting for me. Clay and Brody, who were our escorts today, I've known them both they're Caroline's age and they're classmates and they've been with her from day one. Just to see them blossom and the ability to speak, not just that age, I have to sit here and think in my head the right words to use. I'm a country boy. And I have somebody critiquing me over here on the side. So, right grammar, So, no, it's just amazing. And to see Justin, who sees many school systems in awe of the things that are available to our kids. That's impressive that he gets in there. So I'm just glad to be a part of it. I think that a lot of people more people need to see what the kids are doing, how they're involved, soaked into, like a sponge. It's the water in the sponge, or the sponge in the water, So they're actually submersed in education, and what a great school system. And I thank you again. You a great leadership. Thank you so much.
That's some great people.
Okay. Thank you guys for this privilege and opportunity. I'm really grateful for this time. Let me say, they don't need to know. I do appreciate it. Thank you. And for all of y'all that showed up, so grateful for y'all. Having a 15 minutes more time with Mr. Angela, thank you for the truth. It just made everything alive for here, what we enjoyed. It really, I took a lot out of it. Took a lot out of me, but I have enjoyed it. Ms. Webbs, thank you. I know that's a lot to take home. I've already told you that you did a wonderful job. Thank you. Ms. Stanley, thank you. What's up, John? I just want to say congratulations to you too as well. For all of us. That I'm done.
I may have missed Mr. Knuckles. I always enjoy his presentation.
Do you be able to work through technical difficulties?
Yes. Improvision is part of our job. We principals do that.
Next comment. The red-headed boy at West Fannin, I won't call his name. I said, who's your daddy? He told me, and I said, I'm kin to him. He said, Also,
motion to adjourn?
yeah.
All in favor?
I'm going, well.